Hello and welcome to the Academy of the Magical Art. My name is Frater Ophiel, and today we will be taking a deeper look at numerology, how to break your name, your birthday down, and gather a lot of information from doing this. Today we will be focusing on the process of breaking down the name, and then we will also look at a name diagram and your first 5 core numbers. The first thing that we need to look at is how to break a name and a birthday down. So if you haven't already, please grab a piece of paper and a pencil or pen, something to write with. And also, if you have not watched the first 3 videos, our introduction to numerology, and then the explanation of the first 9 numbers, as well as the karmic debt numbers, please discontinue watching this video, go back and watch those really quick, and then come back and resume this video when you have time. That will give you a lot of insight into what we are going to be looking at, so it's important to get that information down, or at least get an idea of what each number means and so on and so forth. So if we look at our forum here, this is the forum that I use to do numerology. This will get larger and more expansive as we move on, but for now this will cover the name diagram and the 5 core numbers that we will be working with. If you would bring your attention to the top of the form, we have a Mr. John William Doe. His date of birth is 6/23/1984. So he's, let's see here, he's in his early 30s. And I took the chart at the bottom. That little graph there shows each letter of the alphabet and whether it is worth a 1, 2, 3, 4 through 9. You can fill in the blanks there. But I went under Mr. Doe's name and I filled in, okay, J is a 1, and O is a 6, and H is an 8, and N is a 5. Okay, and I did that for his first, his middle, and his last name. I then added up each number and came up with the total. So John is equivalent to a 20, William is a 24, and Doe is a 15. I added all of those up, and we came up with a total of 59. I broke that down. 5 plus 9 equals 14. Okay, so the first thing that we see is that this is a 14. If you watch the videos on karmic debt numbers, you will know that 13, 14, 16, and 19 are our karmic debt numbers. So right off the bat with his expression number, if you look at the bottom, we have expression number 14. That is his name, and his expression, his personality, he is coming into life filling out a karmic debt. Like I said, if you will go back and watch that video, you will see what that karmic debt means. I also took his birthday. This just absolutely worked out perfectly. I just pulled John William Doe and his birthday out of my butt, and I did the numerology on it, and I realized that we had a 14, or a karmic debt number, for his expression number, and for his birthday, it adds up to a 33, which is a master number. I will be making a video on master numbers after this video is uploaded, so that you can go ahead and watch that, since this example came up and I hadn't done it previously. So go ahead and watch that as soon as it's uploaded. If you have not yet subscribed and it's not uploaded, please do so, so you can get an update on when that gets put on here. So if you'll look right beneath Mr. Doe's name, you'll see a diagram. Looks kind of like a tic-tac-toe game, with a bunch of circles and a couple of numbers dashed out. So what I did here was I went through and I saw how many 1s are in Mr. Doe's name, how many 2s, how many 3s, how many 4s, and so on and so forth. If you'll notice, we don't have any 2s and we don't have any 7s. Okay? Those are called karmic lessons. We will be covering a video on karmic lessons in time to come. Again, subscribe and you'll get an update on when that is done if you're interested in that. Um, but for now, let's focus on this name diagram. This name diagram shows us how energy patterns, that's what these are called, energy patterns are made up in Mr. Doe's name. You'll see that we have the physical line is 1, 2, and 3. The intellectual line is 4, 5, and 6. The spiritual line is 7, 8, and 9, and so on and so forth. Okay. Um, these lines show us how aware is Mr. Doe of his physical body. How much of his intellectual body does he use? How in tune with his spirituality? How aware is he of that? In those types of matters. Now, if you don't have an intellectual line, or you have a diminished intellectual line, that by no means that you are a stupid person. That just means that you're not as driven as much off of those instincts. So we have the name diagram, and so the physical body line 1, 2, and 3 indicates to what extent the physical world plays a role in one's life, their personal resources, the extension of personal identity, and their degree of body consciousness. 1 is the ability to know their identity, 2 reveals the extent of which one feels with the conscious mind, and 3 represents the performance of activities. These are physical beings. So Mr. Doe does not have a 2. He doesn't carry that 2 energy. If you watch the second video on the numbers 1 through 9, you'll know that the 2 energy is required to activate the energy of 1 or the sun. So in the physical body line, it shows that he doesn't really feel a whole lot with his conscious mind, what's going on with his ego. The intellectual line, this is a full line, and this indicates the extent to which the intellectual process plays a role in his life, or how much he will feel the instincts and intuition. A lot of circles will indicate that this person is mainly intellectual, and a few circles will indicate that he is highly instinctual. The 4s are the ability to express logic, which Mr. Doe has 2 4s. The 5s represent the use of one's senses, which he has 3 5s. Mr. Doe has more 5s than any other number in his name, so that is called the hidden passion number. That's 5. Which shows that he's going to be a person that uses his senses a lot. He thrives off of his senses. And 6 represents the use of higher abstract intellectual capability of imagination, theory, and creative thought. 7, 8, and 9 is a spiritual line. That indicates a person with strong spiritual resources, rooted in self-discipline and a sense of fate and contact with the unconscious mind, as well as awareness of their innate talents. Reflects the degree to which one has access to their unconscious mind. A weak line will indicate that the person puts an emphasis on their body or their intellect. The 7 is one's grasp of limits of the material world. The 8 is one's transformative powers in their unconscious mind. And the 9 is the spiritually creative awareness of innate talents. So in Mr. Doe's case, he does not have a 7, so he doesn't really grasp the limitations of the material world as much as somebody that would have prominent 7s in their name. And this again will be emphasized in the material reality line, which is 1, 4, and 7. That is our first line from the bottom going horizontal. This is indicates a person with strong awareness of material reality, one who is aware of their identity. A few circles here indicate one who is less attached to the material world, one being the individual and how they are viewed as a physical being. 4 is how well equipped one's logical instinct is, and 7, again, is how deeply this person is bound by the limitations of matter. He has 2 1s and he has 2 4s. There's an even flow there between all of his numbers, except for 8. There's only 1 8. But there's an even flow in his name diagram of all the numbers. He has a lot of 2s. So where his energy is present, it's very well balanced, with the exception of the 5s being heightened, which we will also talk about again with the karmic debt number. He's one that has to deal with struggling to balance his physical drives. So he will struggle with addiction problems, with drugs, sex, alcohol, overindulgence in food, etc., etc. So we have the So 2, 5, and 8, the middle horizontal line is the emotions line. This indicates the emotional life and one's response to patterns, the interaction of the conscious mind, the senses, and the unconscious mind. The source of all of the deepest feelings. A lot of circles here will indicate one whose emotions play a conscious role in their life, one who has a strong urge to express their emotions without control. A few circles here will indicate one who has inhibited or repressed their feelings for some reason or another, one whose feelings and emotions are consciously controlled as much as possible. So twos are how conscious one's mind is of one's body. 5 is one's sense of intellect, and 8 are how aware this person is of the transformative powers of the intellect. So we have 0 2s again. So, like we said, this person isn't real conscious of their body. They're not real body conscious mentally, the mental faculty. There's a lot of 5s, so there's a lot of sense of intellect. So it's just that relationship isn't there between the intellect and the body. And there is only 1 8, so it's a little bit diminished. These senses are flowing more to the 8 and the awareness of their transformative powers. The transformative powers are there, they're just not real conscious of them because they're spending so much time trying to feel things. We have the numbers 1, 5, and 9. This is our first diagonal going from the bottom left corner to the top right corner. This is the communication line. The strength of one's communication skills with others and with their self. Self-talk is very important. So a lot of circles will indicate good communication skills, and a few circles will indicate weak communication skills. This is a transverse line linking the awareness of the personal identity with the senses and the awareness of their talents. Energy here is flowing through all 3 levels of the body, mind, and spirit. And the same applies to our next line being 3, 5, and 7, which is the effectiveness line. Their administrative resources. Too much strength here tends to encourage one to ride a little bit rough over those with the weaker lines. This is again a transverse line that's linking all 3 levels, the body, mind, and spirit. So we have 3 being the creativity, 5 being the mind, and 7 being the material through these 3 worlds. And again, he does not have the 7 here, so it's a little bit diminished in that pattern, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Now we will look at the 5 core numbers. The expression number, like I said, is a personality. This is taken by adding all of the numbers of the full name being given or taken, and it determines different aspects of the person's personal as well as professional life. It reveals characteristic features, basic tendencies, and personality traits. A life path, people would argue that this is one of the more important numbers in numerology, if not the most important, because you can change your name all you want, but you can't change your birthday, you can't change your fate, you can change your persona, you can change your personality, you can go through self-transformation, but your fate is defined. It is calculated by adding all the numbers within the date of birth. Like we said previously, it will reveal lots of things about a person's life, their destiny, their cycles, where they presently are in life, and where their life potentially has to lead them. The psychic number, that is taken by looking at the day of birth. In this case, Mr. Doe would be a psychic number of 23, and this it has nothing to do with psychic powers or intuition or anything. This is a person's psyche. It is a direct reflection of the personality based upon what date a person is born. The hidden passion number is, like we previously said, the most frequent number found within the name. Mr. Doe's name contains 3 5s, so his hidden passion will be found within the vibration of 5. It shapes behavior, reveals insight into how you will influence other people's lives, and expounds upon qualities that a person carries, as well as a person's inner strengths and weaknesses. Last but not least of the core numbers, we have the sun number. Everybody's familiar with the sun sign on a zodiac. The sun number is kind of similar. This is also called an attitude number and tends to correlate to a person's attitude especially towards change in life and how it will be accepted. This is calculated by adding the month and the day of birth. So those of you that have double digits, like Mr. Doe here does, he has 23. You're going to look at 2 plus 3. So his day number will be a 5 in this case. And Mr. Doe's sun number is an 11. So we have another master number here. So far in Mr. Doe's name breakdown, we have a master number of 33 as a life path, a master number of 11 as a sun number, and a 14 karmic debt. So he's going to have a lot going on in his life. That will wrap it up on the name diagrams and the core numbers. So take this information, as we've discussed in previous videos, start building your personality profile for yourself and analyzing yourself. Using this information is a great way to do that. There will be more to come on other personality numbers, such as the capstone and the cornerstone. How to look at your location and analyze that, along with other aspects, cycles, and so on and so forth. So if you have not subscribed and you find this subject interesting, I strongly encourage you doing that. Obviously, I'm not going to expound upon every number found within the name, like hidden passion numbers 1 through 9, psychic numbers 1 through 31. There's just not enough time in the day to do that. So take your information that you've gathered from this video, fill it out, and then I suggest using Numerology.com. Look up what expression number 14 means, or a psychic number of 23. Only apply your own personal numbers so you can get a grasp of your own personal numerology. I hope that this information was helpful for you, and helps you on your journey in self-discovery, and in doing so, self-transformation. Until next time, blessed be.